Is there anything we can do as a community, like signs to watch for and report, or what do you recommend?
Actually, the signs to watch for is interesting because I was speaking to a person who said she was driving in Lancaster, of all places, and every day she saw, like in the top window of a building, a young girl who looked very sad, and was just on her way to work every morning. And then she drove by, I guess, on a weekend evening, and there was the same building had a lot of like cars in the parking lot with men milling around, and she ended up calling the police because it just didn't seem right. You know, why is this girl there? And it ended up that girl was someone who was being forced into prostitution, and you know, she just saw what was going on in her daily driving to work route. So I think it's just knowing about it. Like, I'm someone who I've just learned about this issue. I've just read a little bit about it. I don't think I've ever seen it firsthand. But now the fact that I do know a little bit, if I ever see something that just looks fishy, I know like what to do and what to look for. And I mean, that's just one thing I think everybody can do.
So you would maybe call the police and report like suspicious activity.
And there is actually a national human trafficking hotline that you can call, which we can give the number out, and I think one of them was private with us, that was set up by one of the organizations that works against human trafficking, which is actually probably better to call them the police. Because while I think the police in Berks County are educated about it, some, like in the past, a lot of police officers just, prostitution's illegal, so you just, again, arrest the girl. So if you call the police, you might end up, depending where you're at, not really helping because the police may not understand the issue in different parts of the country.
And then the hotline number, if you can take it down, is 888-3737-888. So it's really easy to remember. 888-3737-888. And operators are on that 24/7, and you can call in a case, and they will ask you questions that will help you through this. I've done it. I called in a tip, and 2 weeks later, after calling in that tip, they ended up shutting down the brothel. So they're responsive and want to bring about change. And I would say here on a university campus, there's a few things that I would recommend that you do. One is pay attention to the relationships that people are in, and I'll speak to the guys first. You know, if you're looking at the girls who are your friends and kind of who they're hanging out with, you know, if they're dating a guy who is, 8, 10 years older than them, has a really nice car, seems really wealthy or something like that, ask some questions. You know, how does he treat you? What do you guys do together? You know, what do you like about him? You know, pay attention to some of those clues where it may be that she's being lured into a situation. She may not even know what's going to happen, or excuse me, what's going on, or she may, and it's hard to resist someone paying a lot of attention to her. To the ladies, I would say to be careful of what's going on. Be careful of what you're offered. When things sound too good to be true, most likely they are too good to be true. The most dangerous place to be in is when he closes the car door, and then it's over. You don't have another choice. Once they get you in their car, then I mean, as I've read about the different cases, that's it. And they may take you across the country. They may change your identity with the abuse and things that go on. I mean, the women don't look like they did when things started out. There's nothing glamorous about this whatsoever. It is being used kind of like a styrofoam cup. And then when they're done with you, they just crumble you up and throw you out. So that's what I would say just as individuals. But there's 4 things that I would encourage you as students that you could take this on. Remember I told you 4 factors: traffickers, victims, end users, and society. With regard to traffickers, we need stiff laws that are going to prosecute traffickers, because basically they're not afraid right now. They don't think they're going to be caught. So look into legislative means, and we can help you get connected with that, with a number of things that are changing Pennsylvania laws, because we have a law that was passed in 2006 but it wasn't very good. And so since 2006, do you know how many times they've used it? 0. And yet we've had all these cases that have come through. So laws to stop the traffickers. The vulnerable people, the best thing that we can do is prevention in that case. So the two things that I mentioned to you before about paying attention and looking, if Dave mentioned, a young girl in a place that looked out of place. You go into a business and people look like they can't talk to you. They don't speak the language. If you ask them questions, they are interrupted by the person who's sort of handling them. So prevention is key. So look for situations that look possibly suspicious. Talk to your friends to prevent them from getting involved in that. When it comes to the end users, let's be honest, I'm sure you've brought this up in other topics. Pornography is all over, campus and being used. Ask your friends the question, do you know where that came from? Do you know who is being used? What is behind that those pictures, or where that source is? Because all you need to do is click on the porn site, and that sends a message to that company that you approve of what they're doing. And as much as they may have some clean or soft porn that's coming out, you got to believe these people are business people. And so that is providing the money to be able to do the black market stuff, which is stealing girls and forcing people against their will. So with regard to the use of pornography and even prostitution, talk to your friends about it and explain this isn't the lifestyle that people choose. 90% of the women have said, we wouldn't choose this. We don't want to be doing this. So it's not a lifestyle that is supporting anything. And I know you guys here for an education aren't looking for a life like that. So let's not support an industry that forces people into that kind of lifestyle. And then the last piece, how do you talk with a society? It's raise awareness. So tonight, you'll go back to your dorm, or you'll go home, strike up a conversation with somebody. Did you know that human trafficking is suspected here in Berks County? No, I didn't really. Yeah, well, let me tell you, there's 4 things that cause this. You can tell them we had a case here. You can Google human trafficking in Berks County or human trafficking in Reading Eagle, and that'll get you a lot of the news cases, and you'll find out more about what's happening, and then you can begin to talk about that more in the community so we can get it out.
I think with you guys being in college, you probably came to Penn State at least a little bit, wanted to make money when you graduate, which is fine. But you're the people who are going to have degrees, have majors, maybe you're going to start businesses or whatever. And I would just encourage you, don't think about the bottom line, the money you can make, the profit. Think about how you can use your degree and your education from Penn State to just change the world in a positive way, is what we've been talking about.
What movie do you think of when we think of sex trafficking?
Taken.
I know. How about that? So, in the movie Taken, when someone's abducted, what's the possibility of them being saved or rescued? In human trafficking.
Well, as cool as that movie was, the Liam Neeson part,
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen like that. In fact, if you want to see another movie that's more realistic, Google human trafficking.
Anybody see that?
Has anybody seen that movie?
Oh,
Have you
did
seen
you
it?
Yeah, a long time ago.
What did you think of it?
It was really good.
Was it bad ending?
I don't remember that. It was,
Okay.
It's not happy.
yeah, well,
Yeah, I won't spoil it for you, but it's not Taken.
Yeah.
And the reality is just that we're up against an industry, as I said, that's got billions of dollars. It's tied in with organized crime, so it's not something that you can say you can just sort of take on the one hand. But what is the impact of women's lives being restored? It's very real. It takes years. to restore their lives, but it does happen. As I said, we have a colleague in our group who's a survivor of child pornography. I have met young girls who are 12, 8 years old, 10 years old, who have been through this and basically are receiving kind of the love of a mother and of a family that they never had, and sort of replacing that and going through counseling helps to restore it. And we have programs here in Berks County. Berks Women in Crisis works through sexual abuse. I'm sure you guys may even have a chapter here. And they are working right on the forefront of this issue and wanting to be leaders. In fact, my co-chair, the Berks Coalition Against Human Trafficking, is from Berks Women in Crisis. And so you have agencies right here that are wanting to work through this problem. So if you have, of somebody who is in an abusive relationship, or you suspect something like this, there is help, and we are setting up work among law enforcement as well as those providers to make sure that lives can be restored.
So I think the take-home message is just to be aware that that it's around us, and there are some things that you can do to be proactive and to support legislation that opposes sex trafficking, and that will hold the pimps and the people involved responsible for it rather than the victims. There's some things that we can all do, that we can be active and still be safe, because we want you all safe as well. Anybody have any questions? Because now's your chance. Because they have all the knowledge. You good? Okay, let's say thank you. Thanks. That was good. Good job. Yes?
I think I missed a bit. Like, what do you guys do? What's your names?
Oh, okay. Yeah, you did miss that part. But go ahead. Do you want to?
I'm Dave Hershey, and I actually work with Christian Student Fellowship on campus here. So I'm like the campus pastor for CSF. And I just got involved with the local community group called FREE, which is Freedom and Restoration for Everyone Enslaved. Just because I have learned about this from reading it, and something that I think is bad, obviously. So, yeah.
And Dave leads our faith-based cell group, so he goes around and speaks on this. And me, Bob Morrison, I was confronted with this happening in Berks County back in September of 2009, and I had no money, no time, no expertise, and no contacts in Berks County. All I had was the conviction that this is wrong, and it's in my backyard, and somebody's got to do something about this. So if you fit any of those qualifying criteria, do you have no money? Do you have no time? Do you have no expertise? Oh, and do you have no contacts? You're qualified.
Well, now we do have some contacts.
You do have one.
But 3 or 4.
But that's basically what it took. And I would encourage you that this isn't the only social issue, and I'm sure there are things that touch your heart from what you see here in Berks County. I mean, Reading just was rated the poorest city in the U.S.
We just spoke about that in class today.
Reading.
The most impoverished city in the United States.
Oh my goodness.
I know. That's what we all said. Our jaws dropped. Yeah.
So there's a tremendous amount that you can do. And I mean, my training actually was in a bit of sort of community organizing, but I had no idea that I would be involved in this kind of work. So I would encourage you in that. What is it that really creates a fire in your belly? That you get mad about, that you well up a little bit with tears. I know the guys don't do this, but for the guys, you get mad when you see this or something. What is it that pulls you that way? And the very first thought that you might think of that keeps you from doing that, just remember that it's possible to take it on even if you have no money, no time, no expertise, and no contacts. And I'd be glad to talk to you about how it is that you can do that.